After being dumped yet again by the Omega I'd been chasing for ages, I confessed to my love rival, the Alpha. How about you and I just get together? Oliver's ears turned red. He looked like he wanted to say something but held back. Later, I found an entire locked room in his house filled with merch and figurines of me. I totally panicked. This isn't a love rival, this is something else entirely. I'm sorry. William looked apologetic, his voice dropping low. He kept glancing at the incoming call flashing on his phone screen, his tone growing increasingly anxious. I have something to do today. Let's talk next time. Okay, next time. William turned and left, leaving behind the two alphas who had been pursuing him without the slightest hesitation. After chasing William for so long, this wasn't the first time something like this happened. I could easily guess where he was going. To the worst of my two rivals. That alpha had money, power, and looks, but his personality was absolute trash. Not only did he treat William poorly, but he also flirted openly with other Omegas. And still, no matter how awful he was, no matter how badly he treated him, William stayed by his side. Over the years, I tried everything to win William over: money, companionship, learning every little thing he liked and cared about, and I still couldn't understand what made me inferior to that alpha. I turned to look at Oliver, standing silently next to me. Like me, he was also one of William's suitors. We'd been at each other's throats for years, both openly and behind the scenes. If it weren't for the setting, we probably would have come to blows already. Normally, this would be the moment I'd take jabs at Oliver to vent my frustration, but today, I didn't feel like saying anything. I was upset, squatting on the ground, asking myself over and over why I was acting like such an idiot, letting someone string me along while I kept circling around them like a clown. Oliver didn't leave either. He just stood there, stiff as a lamppost. I couldn't help glancing at him. He was dressed in a plain hoodie and jeans. His short, wavy hair was a bit too long, falling over his eyes. He looked like a moody shut-in, with that permanently grumpy face half covered by bangs. The impression was even stronger. I had showered, picked out clothes, and styled my hair this morning. William didn't even glance at me. What chance did Oliver, who looked like a total slob, stand? The more I looked, the more disdain I felt. Grumpy face, messy, no wonder. Just then, a breeze blew by. Under the streetlight, his face, like something straight out of a video game, came into view. My heart skipped a beat. The wind made him squint. He closed his eyes for a moment, and when he opened them again, I was standing right in front of him. Our eyes met. What are you doing? He asked. Oliver, look at William and that alpha. Aren't they just the worst? Why are we still playing emotional support clowns for them? Oliver frowned, hesitating. I swallowed, mustering up my courage. Why don't we just get together instead? There was a flicker in Oliver's scent, but it vanished almost instantly. Sure, an alpha and another alpha might not be as naturally compatible as an alpha and an omega. I gave Oliver the gentlest smile I'd ever managed since I met him, but who's to say it wouldn't be thrilling in its own way, don't you think? Oliver didn't react much. His bangs made it hard to read any subtle changes in his expression. Stupid bangs. If I ever get the chance, I'm grabbing scissors and cutting them myself. I grumbled silently, but on the surface, I kept a friendly demeanor. After a long pause, Oliver finally seemed to register what I had said. He opened his mouth, hesitated, then said, "You're right, it's not worth it over someone like William." I barely had time to feel hopeful before he added, "But that doesn't mean I'm going to accept a half-baked proposal just because you're having a moment." He brushed past me and walked away with big, determined strides. Getting rejected like that didn't discourage me though. I'd run into enough walls back when I was chasing William. I was used to it. That's fine. I've got time. And patience. Pursuing someone, please. I've done it before. Watching Oliver's back, my frustration over William completely melted away. I hummed a cheerful tune and headed in the opposite direction from Oliver, already fantasizing about what his grumpy face would look like if I pinned him down beneath me, completely oblivious to the shadow lurking nearby. A figure stood at the corner, barely visible in the dark. Their dark clothes blended almost seamlessly with the night, but in the shadows, those black and white eyes burned with desire, locked intently on the figure walking away in the distance. After William left, he kept messaging me from time to time. I resisted the urge to reply and muted his notifications. It took me a whole month to sort out my feelings for William before I finally reached out to Oliver. If I was going to pursue him, I had to do it properly. Afraid Oliver might be put off, I started by sending him a few days' worth of friendly, caring messages. He stayed distant, barely responded, maybe one reply for every 10 messages I sent. But the colder he acted, the more it stirred up my desire to win him over. Staring at the silent chat window again, I jumped out of bed, changed into something casual, and got ready to make a move. By the time I showed up at Oliver's place with bags in hand, it was already evening. I knocked on his door for over 10 minutes before he finally opened it, and the moment he did, a whole wall of damp muscle came into view. I literally saw water trickling down from his collarbone, following the line of his abs and disappearing under his towel. I was planning to greet him politely, but I couldn't help myself. I whistled. "How do you know where I live?" Oliver's tone was ice cold, and he looked at me like I was some sort of intruder. "I overheard it from William last time," I said, lifting the grocery bags. "I heard you're always working yourself into exhaustion, so I figured I'd bring you something to eat." Oliver glanced at the bags. "And who told you that? Have you forgotten? I'm sort of a semi-famous person, you know." I shrugged. "It's not that hard for me to dig up some info." Seeing that Oliver was about to shut me down again, I quickly added, "I just want to drop off some groceries and cook something for you. If you won't let me in, then I'm not leaving." I plopped down against the wall. "Not only will I stay, if you close the door, I'll knock." Over and over, I flashed him the most obnoxious grin. "Until you open it again." Oliver stared blankly at the empty hallway, then glanced back inside his apartment. "Wait here." The door shut with a loud thud. Through the door, I could hear the sounds of rustling and movement. It took about 15 minutes before he finally opened up again. "Come in." Oliver's place was minimalist, mostly black and white in decor. His scent lingered in the air, and the moment I stepped in, it wrapped around me completely. Oliver pressed his lips together and quickly averted his eyes after a brief glance in my direction. Alpha pheromones tend to repel each other, and being surrounded by another alpha's scent wasn't exactly comfortable. My glands ached slightly. It took a moment for my body to adjust to the unfamiliar atmosphere before I could relax. "Wow, it's actually pretty tidy in here," I said, putting down the grocery bags and craning my neck to look around. "Mind if I take a little tour?" Oliver gave a slow nod. I began walking around. The place wasn't small, 3 rooms total. One was clearly his bedroom, another had been converted into a study for work, and the last one. I stared at the locked door. "Why's that room locked? Got someone stashed away in there?" Oliver's fingers twitched at his side. "Storage room. It's messy." He didn't say anything else and walked into the kitchen to pour himself some water. Not wanting to get kicked out for being annoying, I let it go and followed him. After all, I came here to get closer to him, not to irritate him. "Haven't eaten yet, right? Let me show you what I can do tonight." Dinner was 4 dishes and a soup, neatly arranged on the table. Oliver didn't say much, but judging by how fast he was eating, he clearly liked the food. I knew it. A top-tier alpha like me can charm anyone in the ABO spectrum. Feeling proud, a bit of my pheromone leaked out from the emotional high. Oliver's nostrils flared slightly as he glanced at the smug face across from him. He looked away quickly, closing his eyes. His tongue brushed lightly against his itching canine tooth. So cute, I kind of want to bite him. 4. After that first successful visit, I started showing up at Oliver's place all the time. I'd come early in the morning with bags of food, spend the day with him, and only go home once it got dark. Oliver was thoroughly confused by my behavior. "What exactly are you trying to do?" "I told you, I'm trying to date you." "Why?" Oliver stared at me. "Because William hurt you, so now you need someone to pass the time with." "Of course not," I replied, lounging on the couch. "I swear, this has nothing to do with him. I sorted out my feelings before I came to you. I'm not some messed up alpha who toys with people's emotions." "Then why me?" "At first, it was because of your face." I leaned forward, moved to the other side of the couch, and gently pushed aside his bangs. His stunning features, sharp enough to make anyone jealous, were fully exposed to me. "I liked your face, but..." Seeing that smile so close, Oliver's fist clenched slightly by his side. "But after spending some time with you, I realized I like your personality too." I pulled my hand back and sat in my original spot, looking at him seriously. "So yeah, I like you, and I want to be with you." Oliver paused briefly, then got up without responding and went to the bathroom. I heard the click of the lock. When he came out, his ears were red, and there were faint traces of water on his face and hands. He moved quickly, darting into the study and shutting the door behind him. "Oh," I snuck a peek. "Is he embarrassed?" 5. Oliver worked in game development. Since it was his own company, he had flexible hours. On days he didn't feel like going in, he'd just hole up in his equipment-packed study and spend the whole day there. Whenever he was working, I'd drag his beanbag chair into the study and hang out with him. After a while, Oliver seemed to grow a little irritated. "Don't you have a job?" I was lying on the beanbag, holding a game console. "The whole racing team's on break. What would I go to work for?" "Oh, right, have you ever seen me race?" I tossed the console aside and looked at Oliver eagerly. "Racing?" "Yeah." I nodded. "I've been taking first place for several years now." "Never watched." I immediately felt deflated. "TCH, Then you've totally missed the most handsome driver in the world lighting up the track. Oliver leaned back in his chair, rubbing his knuckles with his thumb. Once he opened the door to conversation, I lost all interest in gaming. I dragged the beanbag closer to him. Hey, that game you're working on looks really cool. Once it's done, can I get on the beta list? Oliver, why do you always keep those long bangs over your face? You've got a nice face, don't cover it up. Why do you always wear those suppressant patches? Doesn't it get uncomfortable having them on all the time? Don't you get bored staying home every day? The weather's nice today. Wanna go out for a walk? Oliver stayed silent, feeling a bit awkward. I flopped back into the beanbag and stopped talking. After lying there for a while, my stomach growled. Hungry. I sat up, ready to go make something. Oliver glanced at me and stopped me. I'll do it. My eyes lit up, and I followed him into the kitchen. Oliver's cooking was way better than mine. I scarfed down 2 bowls before I couldn't help striking up a conversation again. Hey, how about we go walk it off a bit? Staying in all day is such a drag. Oliver, maybe I annoyed him enough, because to my surprise, he actually agreed. Our plan was simple, stroll around the nearby mall and catch a movie afterward. It was our first official date, so I went all out. I even drove the most expensive car in my collection to pick him up. On the way there, I tried all kinds of poses to get his attention. Oliver looked over once or twice, then turned his head and refused to look again. I wasn't discouraged. The fact that he let me stay at his place and was willing to go out with me meant things were moving forward. With someone as charming as me, it was only a matter of time before Oliver fell for me. After walking around the mall, we headed up to the cinema on the top floor. There was a pretty long line for tickets and popcorn. Oliver went to get the snacks while I got in line to pick up the tickets. Just as I turned around after getting them, I bumped right into a familiar face. William. His eyes were red, and he was gripping 2 tickets tightly. Clearly, that jerk Alpha had ditched him again. After chasing William for so long, it would be a lie to say I didn't feel bad seeing him like this. But then I remembered everything he'd done. The time he got left in the rain by that scumbag, and I brought him home, took care of him for days, and then one phone call, and he ran right back to that guy. The time he got slapped across the face, and I skipped training just to go fight the guy who hit him, only for William to defend him afterward and even go take care of him. The time I confessed to him, and he shyly told me he wasn't ready, then the next thing I knew, he was making out with that jerk in the backseat of a car. It made me feel like I was the hopeless second lead in some dumb drama, always giving but ending up with nothing. Thinking of all that, any lingering sympathy vanished into thin air. Ethan, William wiped at the corner of his eye and gave me a shaky smile. What a coincidence. About last time, you left without saying anything. Were you mad? You never replied to my messages. I was really worried about you. I'm sorry. William reached out, trying to grab my sleeve. That day, I had my reasons. Hey, I stepped back, avoiding his hand. I'm not mad. You don't have to explain. William blinked in confusion. You must be mad. Otherwise, why would you talk like this? I'm really not mad, I said, too tired to argue. I raised the 2 movie tickets in my hand. William, I did like you, but now, I'm into someone else. I like him a lot. I want to take things seriously with him. So from now on, let's stop contacting each other. I turned and walked away, leaving William standing there, eyes welling up again. As I rounded the corner, I ran right into Oliver. He must have been standing there for a while, and he had clearly seen William crying nearby. Oh, right, Oliver used to chase after William too. I thought about it. Given where we stood now, I didn't really have a reason to stop him from going to William. So I took the popcorn from his hands and stepped aside. But Oliver didn't move. He looked at me, then took the popcorn back. Come on, let's go in. Watching him walk away, I quickly caught up. You're not going to talk to him? Nothing to say, Oliver said flatly. I figured he was probably feeling bad seeing William get hurt again by that scumbag. On the way back, I kept quiet. The car rolled to a stop in front of Oliver's building. He didn't get out, just sat there in silence. Oliver, hearing my voice, he finally seemed to come back to himself. He turned toward me, eyes sharp. Were you serious? Ha! I didn't catch his meaning right away. What you said to William, were you serious? He leaned closer, clearly needing to hear the answer. Of course. The moment I said it, his hand came up and cupped the back of my neck. Under the pressure of that touch, Oliver's face filled my vision. I caught the scent of his pheromones, rich and hungry, slipping out from under his suppressant patch. 6 breaths mingled. Oliver stopped just inches from my face. Even if he peeled off the long-worn suppressant patch from the back of his neck. Even if I'm an alpha too, you're okay with that? A powerful wave of pheromones burst out, filling the tight space instantly. I clamped a hand over my nose. It didn't help. Oliver's scent was overwhelming. invading every inch of space. I released my own pheromones to push back, but the moment he picked up on them, his own response only intensified. A sharp sting spread through my glands, and I instinctively curled in on myself, trying to ease the discomfort. You can handle pheromones like this? Oliver grabbed my chin and forced me to meet his eyes. I thought, his pupils trembled. You couldn't accept another alpha. My head was pounding too hard to understand what he was saying. I could only see his lips moving. My jaw clenched. I grabbed a fistful of Oliver's hair and bit down on his lips. I put all the frustration his pheromones caused me into that bite. My teeth sank in, his lower lip started to bleed. The pain snapped Oliver out of his daze. He reacted immediately, gripping me tight. In one swift motion, he yanked me from the driver's seat into the passenger seat. I didn't know if it was the effect of the pheromones or his raw strength, but I couldn't break free. His scent seeped deeper with every kiss, touching places even I didn't know could be reached. Our pheromones, which had been clashing up until now, somehow found a strange kind of harmony in this closeness. My grip on his hair loosened. I licked away the blood, my way of apologizing for biting him. Sensing it, Oliver only held me tighter. When the not-so-gentle first kiss finally ended, he pulled out a new suppressant patch and stuck it on. The whole time, his eyes never left me. So? He asked. You still want to be with an alpha? His muscles were so hard they hurt. I shifted a bit to get comfortable, replaying the whole scene in my head. I licked the corner of my lips, then lifted his chin with 2 fingers. Actually, I kind of liked it. 7. After that day when we kissed in the car, Oliver's attitude toward me improved by more than just a little. He spoiled me with good food every meal, and even added my fingerprint to the lock on his front door. Once my fingerprint was registered, I felt even more at ease visiting Oliver's place. I could stop by during the day, or just wander over in the evening when I was free. After spending some time together like this, it was natural for us to become a couple. But once we officially got together, another problem popped up. We were both alphas, so who would be the top, and who would be the bottom? I originally thought I'd be the top, but Oliver didn't agree, and he kept eyeing my ass like it was his property. After some negotiation, Oliver and I decided to settle it the most primitive way possible, a comparison. First, height. Oliver's 185 centimeters, I'm 180 centimeters. Oliver wins this round. Next, weight. Oliver weighs 175 pounds, I'm only 140 pounds. Oliver wins again. Then, after a bunch more comparisons, my hair was practically on fire from frustration. Seriously, why does a homebody like you have to be so muscular? I do work out at home sometimes. Oliver flexed his arm and showed off his muscles. Don't you like it? I glared at Oliver fiercely, grinding my teeth like I was about to chew them to dust. I've won so many rounds. Does that mean I get to be on top? Oliver sat on the floor, leaning back on his arms, clearly proud. There's one last and most important thing. Oliver tilted his head. What's that? I curled my lips and spoke deliberately. Size. 8. Before the comparison, I'd been pretty confident in myself, but when I saw Oliver's, I finally understood what it means to be outclassed. I stared at Oliver silently, as if I could drill a hole right through him. Maybe my gaze was too intense, because under my scrutiny, Oliver started to. The closer I looked, the more intimidating it became. Hey, I just remembered. I scratched my head, pretending I hadn't seen anything. The racing team called yesterday and asked me to come back. Some stuff came up. So, I gotta go. Oliver wrapped his arm around my waist. I kicked my legs out, but he held me firmly in his arms. I really have things to do. No cheating. Oliver gently bit at my pheromone glands and strode toward the bedroom. After soaking the bed, Oliver and I moved to the bathroom. I sat on the sink, holding a pair of scissors. Oliver was getting closer and closer, so I gave him a hard kick. He didn't move a bit, like he was stuck to me. I glanced down and warned, if you don't want a scissors prick on your face, don't move around. Oliver nodded obediently and leaned in. Stray hair fell away, exposing his perfect features completely to the air. I nodded in satisfaction and kissed that face. Much better. Oliver's Adam's apple bobbed, and he shifted forward a bit. The pheromones in the air thickened again, pressing against my bare skin with a hint of something suggestive. My smile froze. Don't you know what enough means? Oliver pressed against my back, stopping my attempt to run away. Nope. 9. Oliver and I rolled around all over his place, then after resting, did the same at mine. After a stretch of shameless days, Oliver suddenly got busy. Not wanting to bother him, I signed up for a small race to kill time. On the day of the finals, Oliver just finished work and came with me to the track. Because Oliver was there, I was hyped the entire time and clinched first place cleanly. Getting out of the car, I spotted Oliver standing among the crowd. I styled my hair in a cool way and headed his way. The crowd was cheering, but but Oliver stood quietly. The closer I got, the more confused I became. No reaction at all. Could my charm really have dropped that low? My smile faltered, and my pace slowed, stopping about a meter from him. Finally, Oliver made a move. He grabbed my wrist and pulled me hard through the crowd. He walked fast, and when we turned a corner, he scooped me up in his arms. The hallway was silent as Oliver strode into the dressing room and locked the door with a click. After the sound, the only things left were faint noises and ragged breathing. "Hey, am I not handsome? Why do you look like you don't care at all?" I broke free and asked, annoyed. Oliver magnetically pressed against me again. "Handsome, so handsome I'm stunned." He rubbed against my lips. "You're the most handsome guy I've ever seen." 10. The seasons changed, and Oliver and I planned to go shopping for matching couple outfits. On the agreed day, I casually waited for him at a coffee shop, but instead of him, two people I didn't want to see showed up. William, and that scumbag Alpha whose name I'd long forgotten. The Alpha looked at me with disdain. "You still haven't given up on William, huh? Do you really think William would like a driver like you?" William tried to stop him but froze in fear when he saw the Alpha's terrifying expression. Seeing William again left me completely unmoved. I glanced at the two of them casually and turned my gaze back to my phone. The ignored Alpha was visibly pissed. He grabbed William and said something to me. Annoyed, I was about to respond when Oliver appeared at the doorway. Seeing those two beside me, Oliver frowned and quickened his pace. I put down my coffee, stood up, and kissed Oliver as he approached. The moment William saw Oliver's face, his eyes went wide, stuck on Oliver like glue. Oliver and I kissed deeply, tangled for over a minute before pulling apart. Looking at the strange expressions on the Alpha and William, I smiled with satisfaction and held Oliver's hand as we left. After shopping with Oliver, it was already afternoon. I handed Oliver the bags and went to the restroom before we drove home. When I came out, Oliver, who had been standing outside, was gone. I checked my pockets, wanting to call him. They were empty except for a small receipt. I suddenly remembered, I had stuffed my phone into Oliver's pocket. With no other choice, I wandered around, hoping Oliver had gone somewhere nearby. I walked down the hall outside the restroom, winding around until I reached the emergency exit door. Just as I was about to turn back, I heard voices coming from the slightly open door. Why are you doing this? Are you doing it on purpose? Are you with Ethan just to make me angry?" The voice was choked with tears, and the pheromones spilling through the crack were full of grievance. I immediately recognized the speaker. "William, I lost all interest. They must be fighting again." "No." The turning motion suddenly stopped. I stared in disbelief at the iron door. William's voice sounded again. "Then, why do you keep sending me photos of you and Ethan?" "William, don't play dumb." My head throbbed and my arm trembled at my side. "Oliver." That was Oliver's voice. 11. Photos? What photos? Why would Oliver send pictures of me and him to William? That bastard Oliver, could he have been messing with me all along? The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. My fists clenched tight, staring at the door. I was about to burst in, beat the crap out of Oliver, then leave in style. But then some TV drama scenes popped into my mind, where the main character misunderstands because they didn't hear the whole story. I forced myself to calm down and quietly crept closer to the door to eavesdrop. William's voice was agitated. "Of course I know. You want to be with me, right? Don't toy with Ethan's feelings. Crazy." Oliver's voice was filled with exasperation. "You say, toying with feelings with your mouth? Are you stupid? I sent those photos to tell you Ethan has someone now, so back off. If you like that Alpha, don't send Ethan ambiguous messages anymore." William's voice trembled low. Ethan's my friend. I was just chatting with a friend. Want me to show that person the chat logs? The messages you sent to other Alphas when you were with him?" William fell silent. Oliver continued, "But if you really care about Ethan as a friend, don't worry, I've liked Ethan for a long time. I don't send ambiguous messages, nor do I treat him like some backup tool to call around." "Oh," and there was a rustling sound. Oliver seemed to pull something out. "Here, look, this is all the Ethan-related stuff I've collected, from the first race to the last." Oliver sounded pleased. "It's the first time I've shared these with anyone. Remember, keep it a secret from Ethan." Footsteps approached the door. Just as I was about to run, I jumped up from the floor. I kicked off and ran toward where the footsteps came from. When Oliver came out, William was already gone. He didn't notice my odd behavior, and we went together to the underground parking garage. That night, I stayed over at Oliver's place. After we finished, it was already late at night. Watching Oliver asleep, I quietly climbed down from the bed. Wandering around the apartment, my eyes landed on the locked door. Since my first visit to Oliver's, that door had always been locked. I'd never seen him open it. I swallowed hard, gripped the handle, and pressed down. The door didn't move. Still locked. I slipped into Oliver's study, used my phone's light, and rummaged through the small drawer under his desk. Someone approached from behind. A hand landed on my shoulder. I shuddered in fright. Before I could react, the hand slid down, brushing my forearm, then rested on the back of my hand. Something cold slid into my palm following Oliver's finger movement. Looking for this. 12. Pheromones leaked uncontrollably under emotional influence. Oliver smelled them. He lowered his head and gently kissed my pheromone gland. Scared you? Don't be afraid. Oliver pulled me up, half dragging me back to that locked door. He inserted a key into the lock, turned it, and the door opened inward. Oliver blocked my eyes with one hand, while the other turned on the light. After my eyes adjusted to the harsh light, he removed his hand. From size and layout, this was clearly the master bedroom, supposed to be Oliver's room. It was packed with game figurines and posters he made himself, but mostly, it was filled with things about me. Posters, magazines, products I endorsed. I even saw some custom-made realistic figurines and body pillows. Holy shit, I stepped back repeatedly, creating distance between us. You, I pointed at Oliver, stammering for a while. Are you a pervert? Calming pheromones spread out. Oliver came closer and held the finger I pointed at him. I'm definitely your fan. I've liked you since your very first official race. That fear slowly faded hearing Oliver's words, replaced by a secret joy and pride. I rubbed my nose. Oh, liking me for so long is normal, I'm just that charming. Oliver stepped closer, and seeing I didn't pull away, he pulled me into his arms. He carried me to those display shelves. The year of your first race was the low point of my career. One game we made sold terribly, we couldn't even pay our employees. I was in a bad place and thought about giving up. Oliver pointed to a photo. Until I stumbled upon your race. That time, you could have won, but your car had problems and stopped just before the finish line. My memories drifted back to that summer. That was my first official race, and sitting in the car, I was ecstatic, determined to get the best rank. Using years of training, I overtook countless opponents, but as I neared the finish, the car malfunctioned. My speed slowed until I stopped 50 meters before the finish line. I was forced to watch one by one as competitors passed me by. I was frustrated, angry, but mostly unwilling to give up. So I got out and pushed the car, inching it over the finish line. I saw you push the car across step by step. Oliver tightened the grip on my hand. Because of you, I found the courage to keep going. Ethan, thank you. The feeling was strange, nothing like a fan's confession of love. I scratched my burning earlobe and joked, bro, that's just how charming I am. Then I remembered William again. How does this relate to you sending photos to William? Oliver's smile turned cold. To make him drop his thoughts about you, let him know you're mine. Before pursuing you, I knew you liked an Omega. I investigated that person, always ambiguous, tangled in on again, off again nonsense. I thought you'd give up, but I waited a year. Oliver clenched his teeth. When you didn't quit, I had to see for myself what that Omega had that you were attached to. I felt happy and clung to Oliver. If you like me so much, just chase me directly. Why all this beating around the bush? He dragged me closer, fingers wandering. Because once you said in an interview that you wouldn't consider being with an alpha. That's a clear memory. I thought for a moment but couldn't recall anything. You remember that well. Ha! Then why keep that long fringe covering your face if you want to chase me? Oliver was silent for a long time before saying, I was afraid William would actually like me. I laughed, holding Oliver's face and kissing him hard. So into me. Ha! He lifted me higher, burying his face in my stomach and rubbing. His hot breath passed through the fabric and onto my skin. I touched the flushed gland and moved my hips. It's all your fault. What do you want me to do? Oliver lifted his shirt hem and bit the drawstring. I'll eat you. I rubbed Oliver's head happily. So obedient.